One, it's Diane. Real happy you're here today and to participate in another Here's What I've Been Thinking About. This time I pressed the record button, so I did a beautiful YouTube session. Well, I thought it was beautiful without pressing the record button. So this is a second take. There was no live audience, so nobody can attest to whether it was better or worse than this version you're going to get. But anyway, here goes. So, again, here's what I'm thinking about. And today I'm thinking about culture and team culture and developing a healthy team and what exactly it means to participate on a team and lead a team. And this is part of our BGC Leadership Development Series. Anyway, thanks for coming today, and we'll see what we can learn together. Um, so, it may be much easier to do things on your own. I truly sometimes believe that. Don't worry, I got it. I can do that by myself. It's way easier. I don't have to consult with other people, all of that kind of jazz. But honestly, you can't get anywhere without a team. And particularly when we are in an organization that relies on a group of people, a team of people, to work together in an effective, productive way towards a common vision or a common purpose. It's really important to pay attention to team and what we mean when we talk about a healthy team and a healthy culture on a team. So let's talk about the word culture, because I think that's an important one. Really, culture is like the DNA of a team or an organization. It's what makes the team or organization click. And some of that's tangible and some of that's really intangible. It's determined by shared values and shared goals, a shared sense of purpose, shared attitudes, shared practices that characterize the workplace. And one of the things you will notice is that every workplace, every organization, every company has a slightly different culture. And that's because nobody's DNA is the same, and that translates over to culture. So, how do you figure out what the culture in an organization or on a team is? And that can be tricky, especially if you're joining a team for the first time, especially if you're new to an organization. You're trying to figure out how things work around that organization. And so, some of the indicators of how a culture, or indicators of culture, are how people behave, how people interact with each other, how they make decisions, how they go about doing their work. All of those things are indicators. And so, oftentimes, we have to learn about the culture before we can actually go about either enhancing the health of the culture or developing a new culture as a new leader or as a new team member. So I want to talk about three different kinds of cultures that evolve on teams or that are often seen on teams. Two of them not so great. One of them really, I think, what we're aspiring to achieve. So the first one is a culture of control. And if you've been in a culture of control, you'd probably recognize it. And that is that people are really afraid to make mistakes. Nobody takes risks. There's a general feeling that nothing happens that isn't controlled by somebody else, and that often is the boss or the manager. You'll notice I'm not saying leader because I think there is a difference there. So, in a culture of control, people don't grow, people are stifled, people don't trust each other. It really is a micromanaging kind of an environment. And you can probably tell by the look on my face that I'm not a big fan of a culture of control. And sometimes we have to experience a culture of control to understand all of the things that actually are not good about that kind of a culture. The second one, which might be even worse, I don't know, is a culture of indifference. And what that means is nobody actually cares. Nobody's engaged in the work. Nobody has a sense of shared purpose. Nobody has a feeling of pride about the work that they're doing. And, we spend a lot of time talking about ways to engage employees. And in a culture of indifference, I would say that employees are just not engaged. There's no accountability. Nobody cares whether you've done that or not. Again, that's an extreme example, but I think a culture of indifference can be insidious. It can kind of sneak in if we're not paying attention. And sometimes that's even harder to sort through than a culture of control. The third one, the best option, in my opinion, and plenty of other experts who have studied this in way greater detail than I have, is a culture of connection. And what that means is that there's a shared sense of purpose. There's a shared sense of big picture or vision. Everybody understands their connection to the big picture. And not only their connection to the big picture, but their connection to each other. And that means that people have meaningful relationships with each other. People are engaged and want to be there and want to be participating team members. And when we can achieve a culture of connection, it's actually amazing what a team can accomplish together. So how do we go about doing that? And what would signs be of a healthy culture of connection, or what are some steps we can take? And I read something recently that I thought was really smart, and it was about the 3 V's. So the first V is vision, and being very clear about what the common purpose is. So if you take a sports team, an analogy of a sports team, it's really crystal clear about what a team is there to do. A team is there to win, and that's their common goal or their common vision. Well, if you translate that to an organization who works with children, youth, and families, then what is that clear vision? What is that team trying to accomplish? What is the sense of purpose? And oftentimes that's contained in the vision statement. That needs to be more than just something that hangs on a wall, but it needs to be something that is alive and well. Because oftentimes on teams where there is a culture of indifference, what I would say is that people don't understand how they connect with the big picture. And we often talk about people all being on the same page and people not being on the same page. And the root of that very often is that the vision is not clear, the sense of purpose is not clear, the connection to the big picture is not clear. So vision becomes really important in gathering a group of people on a healthy team to work towards a common goal. The second one is value. And value is really important, and that is valuing each team member for the strengths that they bring to the table and valuing them as people. And developing meaningful relationships. You know, Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. When you understand the members of your team, when you value their perspectives, when you understand where it is that they come from and what their values are, and you have can therefore create a sense of inclusion where everybody matters on the team. The focus isn't just on the leader who potentially has a culture of control. The focus isn't just on the star performers, if you will. The focus is on developing each of those team members and understanding the value that they bring. So one person may be fantastic at spreadsheets and stats, love that kind of stuff, organized as heck. The other person may be fantastic at greeting parents at the door when they come into the program. Well, how is it that we can actually use those strengths to strengthen our team? And that's what healthy teams do, healthy, productive teams. That's what leaders of healthy, productive teams do. And the third one is voice. And voice is a really curious one, because I think that in order to have the most productive team we can, we need to make sure that everybody has a voice. And something really great I read was a voice is not a vote. Sometimes we get all tripped up in consensus and we say, well, we can't make a decision until everybody's had an opportunity to weigh in or to agree with whatever the direction that we're going is. And one of the things that I think a good leader and a healthy team are able to do is to make sure everybody is heard, which means giving everybody a voice, providing plenty of opportunities for people to state what it is that they feel, but not to get tripped up into this paralysis that avoids making decisions because everybody has a vote on every decision that is made. When I think about our work at BGC and I think about an organization with more than 200 and some odd employees, if everybody had a vote on every decision that was made, we would never make a single decision. So what's really important is to make sure that people have opportunities to speak up, that they're not afraid to speak up, that they can use their voice, which again is different than a vote. So vision, value, and voice. 3 main keys to creating that culture of connection. So let's then just talk a little bit about indicators that a team culture is healthy. And we've talked already about a clear sense of purpose and values and about everybody being on the same page. And here's the leader's responsibility, is to make sure that that page is written, which actually helps people to understand what the vision is for whatever the program is, for whatever the team is doing, for whatever the organization is doing. People have to understand the connection between what they're doing and the big picture. And I believe on healthy teams, people do. And in order to do that, we often have to connect the dots. We have to say the reason that the work that you're doing right now is so important to the bigger picture is this. And this is the way those dots connect. Because if we do that, we leave people to make their own conclusions. And they may not understand. It may not have occurred to them that the fact that they're preparing a snack is actually contributing to the vision of healthy adults, kids growing to be healthy adults. So how is it that we connect our work, our tasks, to the big picture? Communication is key. We spend a lot of time in our leadership work talking about communication and the importance of communication. So if as a leader you're writing down your vision, you've got it on the page, you want everybody to be on the same page, and you can't communicate that effectively, then you're not able really to achieve that vision. So making sure that there's good, strong, open lines of communication. Similarly with voice, it's very hard for people to speak up, to have a voice when there isn't a focus on communication. And communication is a two-way street. It's about talking and it's about listening. It's often about writing emails and sending texts as well, but effectively it's about receiving a message and sending a message. So when we're looking to clarify what our vision or our sense of purpose collectively as a team is, that becomes a really important part. Each person, again, when we think about valuing people, each person is unique and diversity is celebrated. Gosh, it would be terrible to have a team full of exactly the same people. Think of everything that you would lose in that. So how is it that we create teams where diversity is celebrated, where inclusion is so important, where everybody feels that they belong and everybody feels that they're an important part of that team? Accountability is one of those things that if we're trying to avoid a culture of indifference, we have to focus on. Because if you're not asking, if you're not setting expectations, if you're not holding not only yourself, but others to account, then how is it that the team can possibly achieve that goal? So accountability becomes really important in a culture of connection. The T word, when we talk about trust, so teams who don't trust each other generally don't succeed. Focusing and developing on teams is an absolutely important part of effective team work. We're going to spend some more time talking about trust and the development of trust, but when you think about Patrick Lencioni's work about the 5 dysfunctions of a team, the bottom layer, the foundation is that they don't trust each other. And so developing meaningful relationships, developing your work as a team contributes to additional trust on a team, or a foundation of trust in a team, as does, as a platform really for healthy conflict. Because again, you don't want groupthink on a team. That would be terrible. What if everybody just kept agreeing with each other? Well, because they wanted to be nice. What I would say is be kind and have healthy conflict all the time. Kindness and conflict go together. Don't be nice, be kind. That's the important piece of developing a team. And the last one is that we're going to talk about today is mutual respect, again, which goes to value, right? Mutual respect. I have a perspective, you have a perspective. By coming together and sharing our perspectives, even though we may not agree on our perspectives, we can achieve much more as team members and as a team. So those are some of the things around developing a healthy team culture. I hope it's given you some stuff to think about. Thanks for coming today, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.